Hello and welcome to Nerus. Today we'll be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, it was right after Nerus and Shax had a little dance at a shapeshifter event, and after that they had a heart-to-heart conversation in which Nerus opened just a little bit more and let Shax know about some feelings he's been having for a while. Well, let's get started on the next part.
I was in my dark bedchamber facing the ceiling. It seems I will not be getting a decent sleep tonight either. I have never had a nightmare like that one. What was that about? I sat on the edge of my bed as I looked down at my hands. I was trembling. I was having trouble sleeping back then, but this was the first time something like this happened. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I will go for a stroll. I thought lying here will help me calm myself down. I put on a pair of pants and then I stepped into the hallway. I wandered in the dark, thinking about that nightmare and the discussion I had with Shax the day before. I thought they were linked. Was that nightmare because of the way I felt towards Shax? Am I becoming afraid of losing him? Well, that is a legitimate concern, with him being a soul amnesiac. I need to be careful with him. Protect him if necessary. I whispered, knowing no one would hear. Or so I thought. In that instant, when the stairs entered my field of view, I spotted something from the corner of my eye. A silhouette. Huh? Was that someone going downstairs? But what? I did not hear a thing. If that is a burglar, they are in for a rude awakening. I almost chased after the shadow right away, but then a question crossed my mind. What did they come upstairs for? I turned towards the door to Shax's bedchamber, a skull on my face. Without any hesitation, I walked up to it and opened it. Shax was sound asleep, hugging his pillow and wrapped in the bedsheets. He was even snoring a little. Just to be sure, I produced a small flame on the tip of my finger and proceeded to search the room, including the bathroom. I didn't find anything suspicious in the end. I should go downstairs and check on Sabos next. I extinguished the flame and exited to the hallway, nudging the door closed behind me. When I arrived at Sabos' room and confirmed he was only asleep as well, I repeated the same process as in Shax's room. And even I concluded no one had broken into his bedchamber, I searched the rest of the house. The dark miasma that filled the corridors seemed thicker that night, but aside from that, there was nothing out of the ordinary in the entire house. Maybe that shadow was just my imagination. At least that was a nice night adventure, I suppose. Before making the way back to my room, I decided to stop by the library in order to grab something to read until the morning arrived. I shot a glance at the clock. It was almost time for breakfast to be served, so I put the book away, got dressed, and headed to the dinner hall. Shax was already there when I arrived. Good morning, Shax. I sat on my usual spot at his side.
Hi, Nerus. Were you sleepless again last night?
Huh? How did you know? Shax closed his eyes and gave me a huge smile.
Well, last night I got woken up by a ruckus in my room, and when I opened my eyes, you were there.
Oh, I thought I saw someone go down the stairs last night. I was worried it was an intruder, so I decided to check on you.
Really? That sounds spooky.
I did not find anything. The windows and the doors were all locked. It must have been nothing. Unless someone warped in, that is. I thought I would omit a detail to avoid distressing Shax, but I was able to tell from the look in his face that he had already reached that same conclusion on his own.
Are you serious? Gee, now I'm gonna be paranoid every time I have to walk the corridors alone.
I will not worry too much about it. I will not allow any misfortune to befall on my warper.
What's up with the flowery speech?
Well, as you must be aware, as a great shifter, The sound of the door opened, interrupting my train of thought. Sebos entered the dining hall, pushing a car full of food.
Don't you wanna eat with us, Sebos?
Shax asked him when he was laying the trays on the table. Oh, no. I already had my breakfast while cooking.
I see.
Thank you, as always, Sebos. No need to thank me, master. Enjoying your food will be more than enough gratitude. No, if you excuse me. Breakfast transpired in silence for a couple of minutes, during which Shax seemed to be lost in thought. He wasn't talkative while we ate, but I noticed something was bothering him from his stiff expression. I was considering asking him what was on his mind when his eyes met mine, and then he turned to me with a smile on his face.
You know, Nerus, you should eat more than just meat.
What do you mean?
Every time I see you eat, it's always meat. According to mortals, you need to have a balanced diet. Oh, done? Haha, me. Here, have some of my vegetables, and give me that steak to make it even.
Who do you think you are to take my meat?
Just kidding, but do eat your vegetables.
Thank you for your concern, but I have been doing fine with this diet for more years than you can count. I do not think it even matters what we eat, unlike mortals. But in any event, I thought he would ask why I was staring at him. Perhaps he did not notice after all. Anyway, you are unusually low this morning, now that I think about it.
Well, it feels like we took a step in getting closer yesterday, no? But if it bothers you, I can tone the goofing around down.
No, it's fine. Things do feel a little more lively this way. It is a nice change of pace.
By the way, Nerus, how do you plan to make good on your promise? You know, the nothing bad will befall me business.
Who knows? Perhaps I will take you on a leash and take you with me everywhere, only letting you roam free when you have to work. That way, I can always keep you close to me, safe. How does that sound?
Whoa, starting to crack jokes, huh? Although, you sound as if you're being serious if you say it like that.
Is that so? I am sorry. I do not make much of a comedian.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Although, if I wanted to keep you always near me, I suspect I will not even need a leash. Shax stared straight at me. Before long, he lowered his head and started giggling. Oh, that was funny?
It's just because you said something so embarrassing.
Oh, I see.
But, you know, maybe it's not a bad idea.
You want company because you are creeped out from what I told you earlier, am I wrong?
Maybe.
Well, do as you please. Shax did do as he pleased and followed me to my study after breakfast. Unlike at the table, however, he tried to not be very noisy while I worked. He browsed through the bookshelves, picking up whatever he found interesting before sitting down to read. Although the day progressed quietly, I did find it warmer than usual by being in company of another, compared to the days where it was me alone in the study. But as I observed Shax, I started feeling pangs of guilt. Shax, is this all you do in your free time? You sit down and read?
Huh? Yes. Why?
It just occurred to me, you must be getting tired of not having anything else to do. Shax looked up from the file he had been reading through, right into my eyes, wearing that ring of kiss.
It can get a bit monotonous. I tried to get Sebos to play games with me, but every single time he gave me the "that's not proper behavior for a serpent" line.
He waved his hand and rolled his eyes. That is Sebos for you.
What about you, Nerus? Would you like playing sometime? I know some games that are popular among mortals.
Fine. We can play after work.
Oh, that was easy.
Afterwards, I tasked Shax with delivering supplies to a couple of our bases. Since I finished work before he returned, I decided to go wait in the parlor. As I was getting up from my desk, something caught my attention. Shax had forgotten to return the file he had been trading to its shelf. It was lying on the chair he had used. I will have to reprimand him for this. I can't have him cluttering my study. What is this? I grabbed the file and read the label on the spine. The Redd Manor? Must be a file I forgot to move a long time ago. It doesn't ring any bells. It seems to be about some old house in some faraway world. How odd. Maybe I will ask the other great shapeshifters about this later. I put the file away to its rightful place, and then I made my way to the parlor. Shax arrived a few minutes after. If I understand this right, the objective of the game is to buy and operate properties in order to leave the competition bankrupt, yes?
Correct. It's your first time playing, isn't it?
I am not very familiar with mortal games.
Okay then, I'll try to go easy on you.
You do not need to.
I insist. Let's make this enjoyable for both of us now.
Is something the matter?
Gee, you learn fast. This is the first and last time I go easy on you.
Shax had a couple of unlucky rolls and caused him to land in several of my properties in a row, leaving him no choice but to mortgage his own in order to pay. The game was over. It's not like this game has complicated rules. It is mostly luck if you ask me. It's still fun, however.
I also got a couple of card games. What do you say we try one of those next?
Of course. Sounds interesting. While we were putting the board away, Shax looked up at me and asked me a question.
So, I'm curious. Why Nerus? Is that what your close friends call you?
No. It is a nickname I came up with on the spot.
That sounds just wrong.
Who knows? Perhaps someone I used to be close with nicknamed me that, and I happen to unconsciously remember it.
But in that case, it doesn't sound like something you will forget, or at least be unsure about.
When you are old as me, when you are as old as me, you cannot help but forget some things. I barely even remember our beard by now, despite being present for it. By which I meant that I didn't remember it at all. Nomino, and some other of the great shapeshifters were still able to tell that tale in detail, but not me.
You do sound like an old man at times.
There is no proper way to speak to your elders.
But, does that mean you will forget about me eventually?
How can he act so cheery while asking that question? Who knows? What do you plan on doing once I and the other shapeshifters agree that you have redeemed yourself?
Are you trying to change the topic on me?
Not at all. Just answer.
I haven't given it a lot of thought, but I will be happy staying here and serving you for the foreseeable future.
Are you sure? I am not aware of the details behind your situation before coming here. But once you become free, you will not be affiliated to your family and will be able to find work as a warper. You could go anywhere you wish.
I already moved a lot when living with my family, so settling down doesn't sound too bad. Besides, the company here is great, even if the place itself is gloomy.
Then I suppose I won't be forgetting you for a long while.
You got a point. Can't forget me if I never leave.
Why do I feel like I just invited you to stay here forever? But if that is your choice, then you're welcome to stay for as long as you wish.
Thank you, Nerus. By the way, I've been wondering, what is that?
After a couple of games of cards, Shax looked up and pointed at something behind me. It was 4 bottles stored in a rack hanging from the wall. I examined them. The paper was faded, but I had a faint memory of what was supposed to be inside. It didn't take me long to remember. That's wine.
I see. I haven't had any spicy grape juice for the longest time. What do you say we share a drink?
Spicy grape juice?
The wine, silly.
Right. I don't mind. Let me retrieve a bottle. I put a card I was holding down, got up, and walked up to the wine rack. I felt rather off. I had forgotten the bottles were there before Shax pointed it out. How strange Seba just left them there alone. Well, I suppose wine doesn't expire. But how long have these been here? Really? As I continued to rack in my brain, I grabbed one of the bottles, 2 glasses, and returned to Shax.
Where's the corkscrew?
I forgot. I can always improvise, I suppose. I don't need it. I extended my index finger and shoved it against the cork. Shax watched with eyes wide open as my claw pierced it, and then I started pulling it out. However, I had put too much force into it and caused the cork to split in two midway through. I clicked my tongue and finished pulling it out with my fingers.
Oh jeez, I thought your claw will come off.
I am not that fragile.
It's more like no one is as sturdy as you.
An unexpected smell stopped me in my tracks as I began reaching out for one of the glasses. I broke the bottle to my face and gave it a sniff. A pungent, acidic smell invaded my nostrils.
What's wrong?
I don't think wine is supposed to smell like this.
Let me see.
I handed the bottle over to Shax, and he gave the top a couple of snips. He tilted his head to the side, a curious look in his eyes.
It smells like vinegar.
Perhaps I put it there by mistake.
No, this is definitely a wine bottle. I think you just forgot to drink it for long enough. It turned into vinegar.
I squinted at the bottles. That can happen.
Yes, The other bottles look just as old, so I'll assume we shouldn't drink them either. You weren't joking about your memory, huh?
I'm afraid so. When everything remains the same, sometimes it all blurs together. You stop noticing the details.
Don't let it get to you. I was hoping to ask you some things, but maybe it would be best if I didn't.
No. Go ahead. The more the conversation progressed, the more uneasy I got, but I didn't want to deny his request. I could see in Shax's eyes that he realized this. By then, I had noticed he was sharper than his air-headed tendencies would lead you to think. Perhaps he didn't want to let the conversation end there either, or his curiosity got the best of him, but he decided to go ahead with his questions.
Understood. Where do we start?
Shax crossed his arms and leaned back on his chair, those green jewels staring straight into my eyes.
First, have you considered asking Sebos to renovate here from time to time? Maybe it will help not lose track of things.
I have not. I will consider it.
Okay. I know you don't go out often, but do you work out at any point of the day?
One of my ears twitched at the question. No. I am muscular by nature, I suppose, so I do not see the need.
I figured you enjoyed working out since you are so fond of wrestling. And since our psychology has an impact on the way our true forms manifest, I'd expect someone of your build to be a gym rat.
Curious. I have only ever seen the word psychology being used in mortal media. But what does gym rat mean?
A gym rat is someone who likes to go to the gym a lot. Living among mortals for so long ends up making you pick up some of their vocabularies.
I see.
Next question. I hope you don't mind this one, but what is your earliest memory?
I am not sure about that, but I believe it is me bringing those white flowers here. Yes, one of my old workers was with me, the flower pot in my hands, emanating a faint glow. It was very big, but I remember it.
I see. And what is your happiest memory?
That question gave me a pause. I glanced to the side, trying hard to remember, but I don't know. I felt my shoulders drop. I lowered my head, still attempting to find something that fit that description. But all I could recall was empty monotony, alongside the occasional frustration. There were moments of respite, where I enjoyed the satisfaction of a work well done, or appreciated the quiet of that misty old house. But there wasn't anything that struck me as happiness, or if there was, I had forgotten it. I had always been waiting.
Nerus?
Huh? What is it?
May I touch your paw pads? Well, it felt nice to touch your hand yesterday. Was wondering if you'd let me do it again.
If you wish so. I extended the hands to Shax. He took off his gloves and then leaned closer, perhaps a bit cautious of my clothes after my display from earlier. With his little fingers, he inspected the tip of mine, squeezing the spots of black exposed skin. Watching him do this alongside the smile on his face, as he fiddled with my hand, I started to feel calm washing over me. I put my worry from earlier aside and enjoyed the sensation. So much that, in fact, my eyes started closing on my own as I let out a pleasant grunt. I was about to toss off to Shax caressing my palm when his voice brought me back to reality.
Nerus, I got another question.
I opened my eyes. What is it?
Your eyes. Can you make them blink independently?
Of course. Look at this.
You close them all at the same time.
Damn it. No, I did not. Pay more attention. Here it goes again. I tried to give Shax a wink, but indeed, I just closed all my eyes once again. I felt my expression contorting on its own and my cheeks and ears getting hotter. Shax must have found my expression very amusing, considering he was exploding into laughter.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you.
I shrugged, a slight smile appearing on my face. Even if I had been about to become frustrated, his laughter would have changed all of that. Just like his touch earlier, his voice was soothing. My shoulders relaxed as I reclined on my chair and watched him have fun. Why does Shax sway me so easily? This does not happen with other people. If someone else tried to have a talk with me like this, I wouldn't give them the time of day, and the way he makes me feel calm. Am I starting to fall for him? A few days later, I decided to remain at the dining hall after we finished supper. Shax had wished me a good night and went to bed while I stayed in my seat, grasping my hands together. I wasn't confident about what I was about to do, but I couldn't bear keeping this to myself any longer. I needed someone to talk to about his feelings, but I couldn't do that without Shax. And there was only one person in this house besides him. "Who was supper, master?" The shapeshifter asked as he cleared the table, wearing a calm smile. He was placing the plates and utensils on a serving cart. "Splendid as usual, Sebos." I wanted to bring it up then, but I felt like something was stuck in my windpipe every time I thought about it. Still, I didn't want him to go away, so I kept saying whatever else came to mind. The food at the Great Shapeshifter's gathering is excellent, but no one knows my taste as well as you do. "I'm glad to hear that, master." In fact, did you try anything different with the meat today? "I didn't, master." "Oh, how odd. I could have sworn there was something else to eat tonight." The note in my throat was getting unbearable. My nostrils were fretting from how hard it was getting to breathe. And it must have been reflected in my expression too, because Sebos shot me an unusual look. I needed to talk right there and then, but the moment I opened my mouth, all my thoughts came down like rubble from a tower being demolished. From that pile of rubble, I was able to salvage 3 words that I would immediately regret uttering. Shax tasted nice. "Oh, my apologies, master, but I'm certain there was no Shax meat in the dish." No, I didn't mean to say that." "Oh, in that event, it seems what you need to say pertains Shax more than me. It would be advisable to go to him instead." "Oh no, you are not getting out of this one. Sebos, take a seat. That is an order." With the table now clean, Sebos was about to grab the serving cart and flee into the kitchen. But his pride as a servant wouldn't allow that now. Disobeying a direct order from the master was out of the question for him. I knew because we were bark cut from the same tree, or perhaps the same archetype. And Sebos was a sturdy piece of pork. That was why he was the only one to remain when I fired the other servants. I took a deep breath, rested my elbows on the table as my hands intervened together, and pointed at one of the chairs near me with a nod. Sebas shut the dirty dishes, a contemplative dog, but after a couple of seconds, his arms went limp, slipping off the cart's handle. He was quick to swallow his discomfort, however, as he recovered his normal posture before he sat down. No, all that was left was for me to do the same and talk. Well, Sebas, I want to talk. Evidently, master. You do not need to say anything if you do not wish to, but I need to get this out of my chest. I have been having these thoughts lately about Shax. Despite the icy wine that permeated the entire house, I felt like the room was getting hotter and stuffy. I reached for my shirt's neck and pulled from it. I think I'm attracted to him. I don't understand why, and I don't know what to do about it. It makes me afraid. Once I started, it felt like I couldn't stop. A dam broke, releasing all my thoughts, one after the other, in an unstoppable stream. I don't know. I'm not blind. I can see he's attracted to me, to a degree. But what can I give him? I am just an old man that rarely even sees the light of day. I can't remember what I used to do for fun, if I ever did anything of the sort. He will inevitably get bored of me. The other day, remember the wine bottles? Of course, master. I lowered my head and squinted. We opened one. At first, I didn't remember they were there. He pointed them out, and since the paper was faded, I didn't know what they were. I recalled it was wine seconds later. I grabbed a bottle, opened it, but inside there was just vinegar. Vinegar? Yes. Then we opened another one, an unsealed one. What do you think it was inside? Wine? Dust. There was dust inside. I let out a groan and brought my hands to my face, rubbing it as if I was afflicted with a headache. Sebas gawked at me, mouth hanging open. I heard his tail drag across the floor as he shifted on his seat. What have I been doing all these years? It's almost like I just woke up from a dream, but I let my hands fall on the table, closed my eyes, and let out a long sigh. I suppose that's all I needed to say. You can go now. Sebas stared at me for an instant before getting up. He pushed the chair under the table and went to the serving car. But before grabbing it, he turned to me again and cleared his throat. May I say something not as a servant, but as a fellow shapeshifter? That request made me raise an eyebrow. Of course. About Shax, I believe you are approaching this from an incorrect angle, master. As shapeshifters, we are beings without an end. We need to either change or find a vocation to devote ourselves in order to combat the erosion of our mental faculties by the flow of time. Shax is young. He has yet to be faced with this choice, but you should find out what sort of shapeshifter he would rather be, and find what kind of shapeshifter you wish to be as well, if you find your current situation unsatisfactory. It's important you are on the same page. Yes, you're right. It will be impossible to coexist in the long term if our philosophy on how to deal with our immortality did not match. Not to mention, with him being a sole amnesiac, it is possible he has a different outlook regarding this topic. Keep in mind, there is a chance there isn't an answer to this question yet. In that case, what you have been doing so far might be all you need to do. I am certain Lord Shax is grateful for your kindness, the kindness you have shown to him, and he won't forget it anytime soon. Maybe there is something else I can do for him. Sebos tilted his head to the side, that suspicious look showing its head again. Do you care to elaborate? I have been thinking about the situation with Jack's family as of late. I imagine you are not aware of the details, but it does not matter. What it boils down is that a dispute broke between them and caused the Shax to play pranks on them, which soon spiraled out of control. I see. Maybe there's something I can do about that. No, it was Sebos that looked like the room was getting hotter for him. He got a few steps in place as he glared at me, mouth open and tongue pushing against the upper row of pointy, crooked teeth. I can't tell you what to do, master. My very position deprives me of such right, naturally. But are you absolutely certain you should meddle with this? I shall be careful. I understand that. It is a sensitive issue for Shax. I sat straight and crossed my arms as I started devising how I will tackle this issue. I will need to talk with Shax to determine what had caused the problem with his family, then approach his parents next. After that, I could start figuring out how to fix it. I was convinced Shax wasn't the kind of person who would normally have this kind of fight with his own blood, but surely there was a mistake waiting to be corrected. Sebos must have figured this was what was going through my mind because he shook his head in resignation and took a hold of the serving cart handle. If it isn't any bother, I kindly request you keep me updated on this matter, master. Perhaps you will have more success remedying the situation with some help. I see. I do think talking with you has been very useful, Sebos. I will inform you of any development. The servant nodded and excused himself out of the dining hall.
Well, that was today's episode of Nerus. As some of you might notice, a couple of weird things happened this episode. One of them was Shax asking about what Neru saw when he heard someone entering the room. And right before Neru could ask Shax what did he think of it, Shax immediately switches the topic. And I think that to how Shax was reading a file on the Redd Manor, well, things start piling up. It kinda makes him like Shax knows more than he talks about, and he isn't quite as airheaded as he may look at the beginning. Because, I don't know, for a while, when he's being asked about personal things, he tends to deflect, change the topic, and he has built up this part of his personality to be like, ooh, shiny things. Like, no one questions it. So, yeah, I think our little reptile bird friend thingy is kinda hiding some stuff from Nerus. With what intention? Well, we just don't know yet. Also, if we assume everything we have heard so far is kinda like a retelling of a memory, then that little static that appeared when Nerus was checking out the file on the Redd Manor, then it becomes a little more suspicious. Who knows, if it is a retelling of a story of something that already happened, maybe, I don't know, that part was someone tampering with the memory or with the recollection of events that happened in that part, in that scene. Or maybe that was like something that was triggering a memory in Nerus' mind, because let's remember, Nerus doesn't remember a lot of stuff from his past. The first memory he got was from the white roses he had in his garden. So Nerus' past is also a mystery, and we don't know why. Those are some things like that could become relevant later, and I think that's worth like keeping tabs on that info. So yeah, if you notice more things in this episode, like things that might look suspicious, be sure to leave them in the comments. And be sure to tell Neru you want us to keep reading Nerus, just so he knows. So anyway, that was all for today, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode. Bye bye.